Professor Swaran Singh is joining us. And thank you so much, Professor Swaran Singh, for joining. And let me begin with you. You got disconnected in between, but this oil deal which has been struck by Donald Trump with Pakistan, is it a clear snub to India?
Thank you, Neelu, for having me on your program. I think at best it is a political theater. It's an effort to continue with his maximum pressure strategy, as the deadline of 1st August is just few hours away in case of time in United States. Last ditch effort to push India to the wall. Otherwise, the difficulty is that this political theater comes from the man who's the most powerful politician in the world in that sense. So one has to really cater to his whims and fancies and make sure one is able to deal with United States, which of course also is world's largest consumer and therefore very often largest trading partner for several nations, including India. So yes, we have to deal with that reality. But as far as this whole hawks of oil deal with Pakistan is concerned, no other country has so far seriously tried to do oil exploration in Pakistan. I remember in April this year, I think there was a deal with Turkish Petroleum Corporation, and their foreign minister was in Pakistan on 9th or 10th of July, reiterating that they will still start that process. But first thing to remember is that whatever we say about oil in case of Pakistan, though some people have sometimes gone as far as to mention this is fourth largest reserves Pakistan has after Venezuela, Saudi Arabia, and Iran. But seriously, estimates have been that it has about 350 million barrels of oil reserves, which would be over if Pakistan was to consume their own oil in just matter of 2 years. Second, it's not concentrated reserve at one place. It is scattered in various locations, which makes it very difficult to commercially make it viable. And therefore, minimum it would take is roughly 5 billion plus dollars of investments, 4 to 5 years to even start a kind of initial elementary sort of extraction of that oil. So I think it's a political theater. There is no serious proposition. No one has seriously. I mean, the oil reserves that I talk about, 350 million barrels, is about 0.02% of the oil reserves around the world. And Pakistan imports, like India, about 85% of its oil energy from outside, which comes to an annual bill of about $18 billion for Pakistan, which is in economic crisis. So I don't think it's a serious proposition. It's at best nothing but a political theater to push India to the wall to see if India is going to make concessions, but India is not going to be pushed to the wall. And last point on this I want to make very quickly for your viewers is to remember the 2018 Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership that India had gone seriously with a lot of ambition to participate in 3 years of dialogue to make that 16 nations of largest free trade area in East Asia. But India had walked out at last minute because India could not go beyond a point in making concessions when it comes to our labor intensive sectors. And that is the tussle between India and United States now in negotiating trade deal, that agriculture and dairy, we have made some gestures, but beyond that, I don't think India is willing to make any further concessions. And I think US has to understand that kind of verbose kind of political theater is not going to deliver. And you did mention that Commerce Ministry has already responded to these tweets,
Yes.
which we have to. But
Yeah.
I don't think this is going to make any change. I'm only hoping, and I'm really, optimistic about India getting another extension in next few hours. That dialogue will continue on whatever trade deal is emerging, and there
Right,
will
but
not be actually.
one more question, Professor. The kind of language which Donald Trump has been using since yesterday, the tariff tweet which he put out, he used the word obnoxious. Today, this morning, with the tweet which he put out, he said that India and Russia are dead economies. I don't care. Now, this kind of a language, uh, is he deliberately doing that?
Neelu, you are more aware than I am. This is not the language he's using against India. In fact, he's been far more cautious when it comes to writing about India or Indian leadership. You have seen him using much worse language with some of his very close allies. More recently, in G7 summit, you know what he said about Emmanuel Macron. So that is very clear. His language is like this with all his friends, allies, adversaries, competitors, and so on. So we should not worry too much about his language vis-a-vis India. That's his language that he uses. But on the ground, we have also noticed that he's been constantly changing these kind of deadlines that he lays out. The most recent example is Stockholm negotiations with China, leading to extension of 1st August deadline. So I'm hoping India will make that kind of exception as well. But it is also true that he has signed trade deals with so many countries: Japan, UK, European Union, Indonesia, Philippines, and so on, so many countries. So it's also likely that last hour will see some kind of mutual agreement in terms of at least a minimum, a mini trade deal kind of a thing happening. The average of tariffs that he has been happily agreeing with other countries is 15 to 20% tariff on these countries' exports to United States. India stands out partly because India has not agreed to his 2 dozen plus claims about mediation. India is a member of BRICS nations. India imports about 35% of India's energy oil now from Russia. That is a increasingly special case of irritation with India. But there is always a possibility that some kind of way out will emerge, either in terms of another extension, and that the dialogue will continue, or some kind of reduction of tariffs being imposed on India to be within that bracket of 15 to 20%, which is how he's signed deals with all other partner nations so far.
Professor Swaran Singh, Prime Minister Modi looks like in a very sticky situation, because back home we've had people who were doing havans when Donald Trump was going for elections, and the people were praying in India that we are hoping and praying that Donald Trump comes back to power. Then we've seen how Prime Minister Modi has gone all the way to support Donald Trump, and now this kind of a rebuff. How does it really impact Prime Minister Modi's image? And then a complete silence over Operation Sindoor, and how the peace deal was brokered during in the middle of the military operation, and then now the tariffs. So this makes the position of Prime Minister Narendra Modi very, very difficult.
That's true. In fact, any leader around the world has enormous difficulty while dealing with President Trump. And I share your assessment that Indian leadership also has a similar challenge in dealing with President Trump. And like most other countries, the effort from India has also been to minimize the damage and not confront. I think China is the only country which has kind of taken a confrontationist approach in dealing with Donald Trump. And that is partly because China is a very sort of comparable economy, nearly 20 trillion economy, and one party rule and so on. Yes, it does throw challenges on India, but remember, relatively he's been relatively deferent when it comes to dealing with the Indian Prime Minister. He's not so far used the foul language that he has used with several other world leaders. And Pakistan, I am in full agreement with the entire discussion here, is only a kind of a way to pressurize India. There is no seriousness in that kind of oil explorations. It's a joke to say that Pakistan will be selling oil to India. Even if they had excess of oil, I don't think they'll be willing to sell it to India. They are often very reluctant to do any business with India in that sense. But even if you're trying to make an argument, there has to be some seriousness about it, which apparently there is no seriousness about it. You heard that Mir Yar Baloch, a very well-known human rights activist in Balochistan, is already saying that Pakistan military is able to mislead the American president in case he begins to seriously believe that there's a possibility of any oil in case of Pakistan. Plus, in Balochistan, Chinese have been suffering insecurity. The best friend of Pakistan is China, and they are not safe in exploring and building infrastructure in Pakistan. Uh, they have already promised 60 billion, invested about 20 billion. Now, what makes President Trump think he can walk in and start, exploring oil? Turkey, the best friend of Pakistan, has not been able to do it. It will need building ports, building pipelines, all kinds of other infrastructure. And Pakistan is in political and economic crisis right now. So it's at best a joke to put that kind of pressure on India. And India understands that it is only a gesture with no serious threat to India. But of course, we don't call Indian leadership would not try to call the bluff, because that will only get much more harsher language from President Donald Trump. India will stand its ground. India has, you could call it India's principal stand, or you could call it India's compulsions. India is a democracy. Leaders have to go to elections, and therefore they cannot, make compromises beyond a point when it comes to their, MSMEs in that sense, which are labor-intensive production and export. So India will work within its limitations and leverages in continuing to sustain that kind of dialogue with President Trump. There will be certain costs attached to it. All countries are paying costs. I mean, the European Union has just promised to invest potentially $600 billion in United States, buy their defense equipment and give it to Ukraine, buy their energy from the United States. Same is what Indian Prime Minister said when he was in February in Washington, D.C., that India will be willing and ready to buy oil from United States and also explore other possibilities in defense equipment or in small modular reactors and so on. In that sense, United States also is one of the most reluctant country to share technology. That is partly why India
But,
continues to be
Professor
dependent.
yeah, what you're saying is right, but I want to come back to that question on Pakistan, Swaran Singh, that in all these developments, Pakistan, despite being a terror state, despite encouraging so much of terror activity, it seems like a clear winner in this entire tariff game. It walks away with the narrative that, look, we are the winner, we've struck a deal, they are happy, and Donald Trump is so pompous about it. While India seems to be sulking, we are still waiting. What will happen? So much of anxiety for from a country whom we've looked upon as a strategic partner, as an old ally. What does it go to show? And then I'll come for the concluding comments to that.
Sure. It Neelu, it clearly goes to show the kind of state and the nation Pakistan is. They are virtually controlled by military. You saw Field Marshal Asim Munir being hosted in White House. US knows what is the power center in Pakistan. So General Musharraf, when he was fighting global war on terrorism on behalf of George Bush Jr., Pakistan was also hosting Bin Laden at the same time. You just now said that, Iranian Prime Minister is visiting Islamabad, whereas, United States has just recently done enormous strikes on their nuclear facilities recently. So Pakistan is able to play that double game because they are not answerable to electorate at home. The military that runs the foreign policy, security policy, can switch sides, can play double game anytime. I don't think Indian politicians can afford to do that. And therefore, there are, as I said, limitations and leverages that India has, which are distinctly different than Pakistan. But Pakistan also knows very clearly that the moment, its relevance becomes less, the moment Donald Trump is able to directly negotiate with India, he will not blink an eye to drop Pakistan. I mean, he's done it before. He's been much nastier. You remember his first term in office, the way he was talking about Pakistan. So Pakistan knows it, that it will make best of whatever possibilities it has in hand, but also knowing that even in United States case, they understand India is different. India's oil reserves are 10 times, India's oil consumption is 10 times. India is a very different country. So it's, as I keep saying, it's a political theater to influence and pressurize India. Beyond that, Pakistan has absolutely no relevance for United States.
Right. Okay, so